Okay, and now we come to our last story of the day, the story that we've all been waiting for, when he decides to go to Vegas. And this is a story that I could not get over because of his complete and total lack of ownership. He does not own anything that he does in Las Vegas, the very fact that he was there in the first place. Okay, so his friends keep being like, we gotta seize the day, Spike. That's his nickname because his hair's so crazy. We gotta seize the day, Spike. We gotta, go do something fun. And he's like, what should we do? Well, come on, let's just seize the day. What do you think we should do? We've always wanted to go back to Vegas. Apparently they'd been to Vegas at some point. He says that they had rented Harleys when he'd been in the States a little while before, and they'd gone from Phoenix to Vegas. And so they wanted to do it again, but really do it. So he says he has a little weekend farewell with Cressida, whatever that girl's name is. And he flies off to Nevada. Okay, so he goes on this long bit about how the place, the hotel they stayed in was just like thebomb.com.
Holy shit. This is Vegas.
Oh my. This place is enormous.
Now we're talking.
It's such opulence, it's so palatial. And I'm like, really? Seriously? Vegas? Okay. If that's, what gets you off. And he says that all of his friends, it was just like this fantastic time. It was just eating, drinking.
This will be a night to remember. Oh, what a rat-lay feast.
He makes a big point about how he was always the one going to bed first, because he was that guy now, turning in early, telling everyone to be quiet, like trying to plant the seed in our mind that he had some semblance of responsibility. He blows that cover in just about 2 seconds. He says that they decided that they were going to go to a pool party. Now, how are you going to stay out of trouble at a Vegas pool party? I'd like to know. But he seems to think that it was a possibility. He says that they brought 50 beach balls with them and handed them out to different people to break the ice. Clever. He says that he and his mates he says his mates were looking for friends. He didn't need a friend, okay, because he had a girlfriend. Cressida, Crow, whatever. And he says that they wanted to be naughty, but he had no intentions of it. In fact, he even texted his girlfriend multiple times to let her know that he was on the up and up here, okay? So, just wants to let you know he'd been texting his girlfriend. But he said the problem was that everybody just kept handing him drinks. And what do you do when somebody puts a drink in your hand? You have to drink it. It'd be rude not to. So he says he had to drink. He was getting so wasted that he just felt like he needed to do something to further seize the day. Carpe diem and all that. And as he's carpe diem it up, he decides that the thing to do would be to get a tattoo. But you gotta be careful about where you put that tattoo. What if, he thinks to himself, I put a tattoo of Botswana on the bottom of my foot? That same place where I got trench foot and all the skin peeled off my foot. There's symbolism in that. So maybe somebody could help me figure out what it is. So he says that everybody was like, absolutely not. You cannot do that. What are you thinking of? You're a prince. Okay. You don't put a bumper sticker on our Bentley. What are you thinking of? So he says that, he agrees reluctantly. So they go back up to their hotel room. He says a bunch of his friends had invited some of the girls who worked at the hotel. Okay. And he says that along with those girls, they brought up 2 women that they'd met at the blackjack tables. I feel like I should not have to say this, but Harry, what did you think was going to happen when you invited some strange girls from the blackjack tables to hang out with you? At the best of times and in your most clear-headed state, I feel like things could have taken a downturn. Anyway, he says that it wasn't him who invited the girls. And by the way, he thought they looked pretty dodgy anyway. So he just, like, note that, okay? He was calling some BS on the fact that these girls were even here, but he didn't bother to tell anybody at the time. But in retrospect, he wants to let you know they were shady. But though there were shady Dodgers hanging around on the fringe who were edging into his pool game, and by the way, they weren't even good at pool, he says that he decides that because they were boring pool players, it would be a lot more exciting if he upped the ante. So under his careful tutelage, he tells the group, hey, let's play strip pool. Now, though everyone else seems to have been such poor pool players, it would happen that he, 10 minutes later, is the big loser, and he's reduced to his, quote, skivvies. Then he says he lost his underwear. It was harmless, silly, or so I thought, till the next day. Standing outside the hotel in the blinding desert sun, I turned, and I saw one of my mates staring at his phone, his mouth falling open. He told me, Spike, one of those blackjack girls secretly snapped a few photos and sold them. Spike, you're everywhere, mate. Specifically, what was everywhere was my ass. I was naked before the eyes of the world, seizing my DM. Could he have not concluded this would be the end to their good times? You invite some shady girls you met downstairs at the blackjack table up to your room, and suddenly it's all supposed to go swimmingly well. And he says, I berated myself. How could I let it happen? How had I been so stupid? Why had I trusted other people? Hey, why did you decide to take your clothes off? I'd counted on strangers having goodwill. I'd counted on those dodgy girls showing some basic decency. And now I was going to pay the price forever. These photos would never go away. They were permanent and make a foot tattoo of Botswana look like a splotch of Indian ink. So everyone's freaking out, especially his bodyguards, because they could lose their jobs for this. Because they're supposed to be babysitting him and they weren't doing a very good job of it. And so they're freaking out. He's freaking out. But finally, you know, it's time to wrap up this Carpe Diem, this seizing of the day. And he says he flies to Scotland. He goes and talks to his dad. Shock and awe, Pa's really nice to him about it. Color no one else in the world shocked by that. Of course Pa was nice to him about it. He says, to my surprise, to my relief, Pa was gentle, even bemused. He felt for me, he said. He'd been there, though he'd never been naked on a front page. Actually, that was untrue. When I was 8 years old, a German newspaper had published naked photos of him taken with a telephoto lens while he was holidaying in France. But he and I had both put those photos out of our minds. Anyway, he's like, Pa had felt naked at certain times, so he was really kind and considerate to me.